who cares? You know, on a lot of this stuff, it turns into, you know, we wring our hands and we do these great emotional gymnastics over these issues. And, you know, quite frankly, who cares if some pro-Palestinian group wants to waste their money doing bus ads in Vancouver? Really, what effect does that have on the situation in the Middle East? You know, nothing.
But what about the converse? The TTC saying no, we won't run those ads.
Yeah, they should have looked. They should have. Why not run them? I don't care. It's and I don't think anyone should be that too concerned about it, honestly. And if you're that concerned about it, take up a collection in the community and run your own ads that tell the opposite side of the story. It's a free country.
I'll bring up another item. What about Facebook and Google? So you see campaigns on Facebook all the time for please get Facebook to delete these pages or this stuff which is horrible and horrific. And you end up having decisions that are taken in California that affect the speech of people here. I mean, are we leading to a world where our laws don't matter because the decisions will be made in Southern California for us?
You know, in Denmark, this is a big discussion, and there are some Danish politicians who would like to have rules saying, laws saying that Facebook should conform to Danish standards, which doesn't make any sense. I don't think they have the power to do so. But I would be very hesitant to that. I mean, in some ways, it's a bit like an argument saying that, you know, it's censorship when a newspaper edits. You send in most op-ed submissions will be rejected by an editor. You know, and you know, you may have standards of decency in a newspaper saying we don't want that, but then as long as you have other platforms, and I saw this new survey saying that Facebook is actually losing its market shares because there are other platforms. Twitter is more open-minded, so I think it would be dangerous to regulate Facebook like that, and you can. I've seen a number of very successful campaigns that have pointed out to Facebook when they're have become, you know, very arbitrary, you know, saying we'll tolerate this but not that. So they do actually sometimes listen to it. But the idea sort of regulating it, and basically the idea of saying, okay, let's have the very same politicians that have no problem with adopting arbitrary hate speech laws or blasphemy laws, let's have them regulate Facebook in order to ensure a higher level of free speech on social media platforms. I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay, before I'd like to invite people we have 2 microphones, so if people want to ask a question of the panelists, you can use either microphone. Just one last question on the panel. I assume, is everybody in the panel against the Quebec Charter of Values?
Yeah, I know the column about that, Fred, and I strongly agree.
I'd like to hear from David.
On Dave, from David?
Yeah, on the charter.
Well, I should say, go to Yahoo and if you look up David Kilgore, it was about 3 weeks ago.
If it hasn't been censored, awful.
No, it's the idea that everybody here knows, you may not know this, Jacob.
I've read
Well, I guess probably Irwin Cotler's put it better than anybody, that it's just pretending, it's using nationalism in Quebec. It's to try to win majority support for the PQ government at the expense of everybody else. And that's putting it pretty bluntly, but that's what I think it's...
Should there be limits on the burqa?
Well, I've been wrestling with this one for about 20 years. Somebody in the audience is going to be really angry at me right now. No, I don't think there should be limits on the burqa. Now, some people will say to get your passport photo, you have to take the burqa off. I realize that, but I don't think you can take a photograph of somebody for a passport wearing a burqa. But aside from that kind of situation, I think people in a free society have the right to wear what they want.
Sure, Joseph?
Yeah. David, I think there's somebody else over there to clap. So that makes 3 of us then that agree. There shouldn't be any limit on the burqa. You know, really, one of the reasons, I take it at face value, Irwin's assessment and everybody else's assessment of the Charter of Values, Quebec Charter of Values, that it's a cheap political ploy, okay? But it's a cheap political ploy that plays in the consciousness of the public, if I could use that term, because we have this idea out there of what is permitted and what isn't permitted, and it's the role of our governments to decide that on our behalf and oppose it. So even though it may be a cheap political ploy, I could very easily see where a scenario where some people in Quebec and the government are actually sitting down and thinking this thing through sincerely and seriously, that they really do believe that somehow or other this is going to limit intolerance. But here's the problem, of course, with banning the burqa, okay? I mean, where do you draw the line? You're going to ban the burqa, and then in fairness, because we all want equality and fairness, well, then of course the next thing we have to do is talk about banning crosses, or banning, guys, people in this room maybe don't know that most Orthodox women cover their hair, okay? My wife goes to get a passport picture, it's always a problem because she covers her hair. She doesn't, and a lot of people don't realize this, but lots of things that we talk about in terms of proscribing symbolic dress by Muslims in particular, because let's be honest, that's what's troubling us the most. I think that's what's precipitated much of this debate. Many of the things that people are talking about with respect to the Muslim community apply to the Jewish community as well. But we don't think about that because for most of you guys, your experience in the Jewish community is, the guy down the street who happens to be Jewish but isn't particularly observant. But for those of us in the observant community, we are very much concerned with a lot of the talk about banning burqas, etc. Because then, I can't wear a kippah in a classroom. You can't wear a crucifix in a hospital. Where does it end? And ultimately, what does it mean? Who cares whether you wear a kippah or a cross or whatever? Surely to goodness, if we're worried about people and values, we're worried not about how they dress, we're worried about what they think, okay, and how they behave and how they treat their fellow human being and what they're teaching their children. None of that is affected by what people wear. So it's a bit of a silly thing as well, this whole idea of, talking about banning burqas. I understand where it comes from, and if we were living in a society where, the other side was able to control me, then I would be banned from speaking this way too. That's why I don't think we should be controlling, we should be limiting speech.
Okay, anybody else on the panel before I open up to questions? Okay, Alexandra?